Hi again, everybody. My name is Greg Anderson, and this is the Good Timekeeping Show with Greg Anderson. Today, I want to feature this clock that I picked up in the early 1990s, so a little bit more than 25 years ago as I'm recording this. And I apologize up front for, it's a highly reflective surface everywhere on this clock and kind of this domed convex glass on the front makes it reflect just about everything. So I'm having a little bit of difficulty lighting this clock and making it look the way it does to my eye, but pretty close here. So anyway, this carries the Seiko brand name. It's a world time clock and runs on AA batteries. And so, just a nice classy looking clock. You can see, compared to the size of my hand, not too tall, not too small, just a nice thing to have on a mantle or whatever. Now, when I went to buy this in the 90s, I didn't actually see this one on the display at the local jewelry shop that was selling this, kind of a high-end jewelry shop in the mall. Or there was another one just downtown that wasn't in a mall that had this as well. And so I looked around and decided I really liked it. The one that they had on display, instead of having this kind of dark, shiny metallic frame around the outside, it was more of a match to the color of the hands. So kind of that gold tone, shiny gold tone. That's the one they had on display. I looked in their catalog before I picked this up, and they showed this alternative color, and so I decided to get the alternative color and not get the one that was on display. So here you go. I mean, it's pretty straightforward as far as a world time clock goes, but I found the most charming thing was how the tip of the second hand had this little airplane on it. And so, oh, that's really neat here. So all you do here, you set the local time, and then up here, you can set a little dial to correspond to your time zone. And so there's just a knob in the back for doing that. And you'll notice that all the time zones go around. So if I line up the 12 o'clock position with my local time zone, in this case being Denver, then it will give you the local time in all these other places around the world. And you've got this 24-hour dial here. Now, I don't know if time zones maybe have changed since this was produced, so it may be that it doesn't exactly line up with every time zone anymore. And the other thing that this doesn't really take into account is daylight saving time. So in order for me to kind of line this up with the other time zones around the world, when we're in daylight saving time, of course, I'll move the local time ahead 1 hour, and I'll move this dial ahead to Chicago 1 hour ahead of me. And, at least maybe then some of the other international time zones will line up better based on that. So, it's not perfect, but it's really a nice looking clock. I like that it has kind of the world map there showing on the face as well. And you see that that will rotate along with the setting for the world time zone there, and you get the international date line running through there. So just a nice little clock that you can use for reference to see what time it is all around the world. Now, I haven't shown you, however, the thing that really sold me on this. I decided after seeing the one that was on display, I really liked it, and that charming little airplane on the second hand was really neat. I think before I bought it, I had them take it off the shelf and show it to me, and I opened up the back here, and I could see, of course, that there was, kind of a regular looking quartz movement back there to run the clock, but also a spot here for 2 more batteries. And, sometimes when clocks like this go on display at a jewelry shop like that, they may not even put batteries in it. They just leave it there on the shelf, and you can assume that it actually works if you put batteries in it. Or maybe if they do put batteries in it, they let them run out, and it's kind of I don't know. It surprises me a little bit that they're not putting more effort into selling a nice clock. But it seems like if no one really cares that much, it's easy for them to have a clock that doesn't look like it's working on display. So when I saw this, and I saw that there was a space for 2 extra batteries, I'm like, oh, what do those do? And I think the salesman was like, oh, gee, I don't know. So he went and found a couple of batteries. And watch what happens when I stick 2 batteries in these 2 extra slots here, and then turn it around and take a look. Now, your charming little little airplane icon has flashing LED lights on it. And let me change the lighting here so you can really see how those show up. And so really that was it. Once I saw that feature, I was completely sold. I had to have this clock. Now, I have to say, I don't think I've seen a clock like this in a store in the last 20 years or so. I think so. They must have stopped selling them in the late 90s or early 2000s. But you could probably still find them on eBay or somewhere like that if you're really super interested. Just a Seiko World Time Clock with the little blinking LEDs on the airplane icon. Why wouldn't you love this clock? I've had this, like I said, for over 25 years. Runs really well. You know, once you get it set, there's not too much more you can do about it. Oh, I should show you how that when you do set the time. Okay, so I'll just turn the regular knob here like you would expect on just about any standard quartz movement. Okay, so if I turn that right now, you can see how it advances the time, and also up here advances the hours for the international time as well. So that 24-hour dial moves as well. So yeah, other than that, and then of course, you know, dial in your local time zone there. And then once you get that set, everything else should line up, and it should show you, of course, the actual, you know, world time in just about any time zone you want. Just take your reference from somewhere on the planet. And yeah, I suppose some people would prefer like a geochron because, you know, everything's a little bit more straightforward showing you those other time zones. But in the pre-geochron days, or if you couldn't afford a geochron, this is a nice looking, very, very pretty and very useful world time clock to have on your nightstand, on your mantle, in your office, wherever you seem to need that. Oh, it looks like it's got some just little bit of haze on the glass on the inside of it. I suppose that's not unexpected after all these years. Maybe I can take some pieces apart and clean that glass. As you can see, there is kind of a piece of glass around the dial here, so it is transparent. You know, you can see my hand there behind it. Yeah, so it's like this whole part of the clock that contains the actual mechanism and the face is suspended on this piece of glass inside this frame. Isn't that, you know, just a classy looking thing? Anyway, that's all for now. I hope you enjoyed that one. And if you find one out there, you know, I hope I've given you a little bit of guidance as to whether or not you think you'd want to pick it up. And that's all for this episode of the Good Timekeeping Show. I hope you'll join me again very soon for more.